Let's start with so I was on my couch in Huntersville, North Carolina. That's where I was watching. Lauren, where were you watching?
You were tucked away in your Snuggie.
Somewhere.
Were you watching?
I was at
a
the
screen?
race.
I mean, did you see it happen in real time?
Oh yeah. I was in Victory Lane. Now I remember.
So you're watching the screen.
Yep, watching a big screen.
All right. So up until this point, if you're a friend of a race car driver, which we are, Corey's our person.
I use that lightly.
No, it's true. Unless there's somebody
We're friends.
Yeah.
No, Lauren, right? Unless it's somebody that you really are into or care about, at that point in the race when you work in NASCAR, you kind of tune out if it's not your people.
Yeah.
But at this point...
Yeah, like if Kyle Busch is about to win, we're like, okay, whatever.
At this point, we got Newman, who I love.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's where I first came into the sport. I've known him longer than any other driver. Corey's over there.
Mm-hmm.
Blaney's over there. Like, this first little crop of drivers, I'm like, this is going to... And then Denny, like, it's a great story. You want to see if Denny's got the goods to do it again. And the racing was spectacular.
Hell yeah, it was.
And then they had to try it again. And they had to try it again. And I'm like, at this point, but it felt like forever from a couch.
Yeah.
Like you're just...
It was a long time.
The last 16 laps took a lifetime.
Yeah.
And what are you thinking at this point? Because you're close.
Yeah, I could see the front for the first time in a long time. I was sixth on that last restart.
Already you're thinking, this is it. I'm going to have at least...
So I restarted like 11th with about 15 to go, and I'm like, I think these guys are still going to wreck. So I'm going to keep tabs because if they get too far out, then you won't be able to catch them if nobody wrecks. Well, they wrecked. Lined it back up again, started 6th. Maybe I started 10th. I was outside row. Somebody spun their tires. I think Clint Boyer did. They get jammed up. Go to the infield grass. Caution comes out again. Line up 6th. Another green, white checker. It's Hamlin. In the outside lane's Hamlin. Blaney. Me on the outside. Newman. Busher. Chase Elliott. I think it was Kevin Harvick, actually.
And at this point, Lauren, all I'm thinking is there's going to be another wreck. And if there's another wreck, Corey might win the Daytona 500.
I know. I started mentally preparing myself to maybe have to cry in public.
Because I'm like, there's a very good possibility he's going to be in the right spot to pull ahead.
I would have really needed some help because my car by itself was slower than molasses running uphill. So I needed to have somebody fast in front of me and needed somebody fast behind me because I could have been leading the race with 100 yards to go and finish in about 6th, as slow as my car was. So anyway, we get going. The outside lane rolls. And I got a good push from David Reagan down the backstretch coming to the white. I picked up Ryan. Ryan was on the bottom with really no help. I picked him up, and we pushed each other to the lead. Ryan was leading. I think they probably still scored Denny on the outside lane as second. I was third with help from David Reagan. I'm like, holy shit. There's only like one car in front of me. That never happens. Then Ryan went to the block top, so then the parachutes got pushed out on the old 32 car, and I lost my help in David Reagan because there was a hole. There was a hole in the top lane. So now I'm all by my lonesome. And now the outside lane's going, and I got shuffled back to like 10th or 11th.
Mm-hmm.
Go through 1 and 2, and there was a little bit of a hole in front of my dear Bubba. My dear buddy Bubba.
Okay.
And I slide up in front of him, and he picks me up and starts pushing me. I'm like, ooh, this is going to be good. Because we gapped ourselves enough where we were going to have the run of a lifetime. And apparently, Bubba got a little bit tight behind me and hit the wall, and the wall kind of snagged him. And now he's out. And I have no help. A little bit of a run. Get next to the 62. Kevin Harvick comes help me. We go to like 5th or 6th. Come out of turn 4, and I'm trying to side draft the 62, so I'm like kind of looking at it like my left like peripheral. And I see probably 100 yards up a light-colored car get hooked right in front of me. And I'm like, oh, shit. But here's the thing. You're speedway racing. And I can say it now because we know Ryan Newman is in good health. You don't lift. You just don't lift because every spot at the Daytona 500 is worth like 20, 25 grand. So if you lift and lose 2 spots, that's over 50 grand. So I kept it floored. And I tried to favor to the right, hoping that whoever hit, because I didn't know who wrecked at this time, was going to go down. And it was a wall of smoke. And it was literally like it was just a snapshot of the smoke cleared like that, and it was less than a blink of an eye. Upside down car literally in my windshield, like because my windshield was already trashed from speedy dry and rocks and everything else that hits the windshield. So you can't really see. It's almost like if you scratched your glasses up really bad, sunglasses, and tried to walk around. That's already what it looks like. So then you add that to tire smoke, sparks, all this stuff, and I hit him. Don't know who I hit, and next thing I know, I kind of like ears are ringing. I kind of come to, and the windshield on my car is pushed probably half the distance closer to me than it was originally. And I was like, oh, hell, like that hurt. And I like looked out the left side window to make sure I crossed the start finish line to see, hopefully I finished in the top 10. And I'm like, okay, the throttle bodies, which is the part that takes the gas and mixes the air and shoots it in the motor, is probably ripped off this thing because if it hit the hood and it hit the windshield, this thing's really tore up. So I was like, I got to get out because it's probably going to catch on fire. So I put 2 feet on the brake and try to stop it as fast as possible. And sure enough, it catches on fire. I'm trying to unhook all my stuff. You're hooked up, obviously, your belts, your radio, your AC, all this stuff. And meanwhile, I'm like hurting because the belts, especially in your underside section, there's 3 of them. There's 2 that go in between your legs and kind of hook up to the outside, and they go around your legs and into the lap belt. And then there's 1 right in the middle that holds you from, if you get upside down, hold you from raising up in the seat.
Mm-hmm.
But when you hit forward, your whole body goes forward, and you run out of space real quick.
It probably knocks the wind out of you.
So it knocked the wind out of me. So I'm trying to catch my breath. Ears are ringing. Don't know what the hell's going on. I get out, get the window net down.
Is anybody in your ear?
Yeah, but, you know, it's, are you okay? You're okay. And I think I gave them like a yeah type thing. But they said that the antenna was knocked off, so they couldn't hear what I had to say. So I got out. Things on fire. And I'm like, so I literally dropped to my knees, which is that picture that was circulating on Twitter. People thought that I was praying for Ryan Newman. At that point in time, I had no clue who I hit, where I hit him, how bad it was. All I knew is I hit a light-colored car. So I'm literally sitting there going, oh, that hurt. Oh, that hurt. That hurt real bad. Trying to catch my breath. And I was like, after I kind of got like my wind, I'm like, all right, Lord, that was big. Thank you for not letting me die today because I got a wife and kid about to have. So then the safety workers come up and they're like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm all right. I'm just gonna lay down. My chest kind of hurts. You know, let me just chill right here. I'm good. I was like, where'd I finish? They're like, 8th. I'm like, all right, that makes me feel a little better. And the guy's like, are you all right? I'm like, so then I rolled over.
I have to interrupt because I think this is the only place people are going to hear this play-by-play.
Yeah.
Because drivers don't talk about it. Take us through everything that happens next. So they're there with you.
Yeah.
They make you get in the ambulance.
Yeah. Well, so
you still don't know anything that's happened.
No. So I go from my knees to my butt. Then I lay down. I still got my helmet on. Kind of like collect my thoughts. Like, oh my God, that was a big hit, and that hurt real bad.
You still know there's a wreck. You just don't really know what's going on.
Don't know how many cars are in it. Don't know if the whole field was in it. Don't know if Jesus is coming. The wind was knocked out of me, and I finished 8th in Daytona 500. That is all I know at this point. I roll over on my stomach. I did 5 push-ups for good measure. Swear to God.
Like a man.
To make sure everything still worked. Took my helmet off, and I got into the ambulance. I don't know. I just felt like doing 5 push-ups. That's when, anytime I hurt, I just do push-ups. Makes me feel better. So I get in the ambulance.
Now,
Anyways,
do they start
on.
asking you medical questions in the ambulance, or are they just like...
No, they ask you, where are you at? What's your name? All the questions to make sure your bell's not rung too bad.
Corey LaJoy, I'm the host of Sunday Money.
Yeah, I got some dipshit co-host called Daryl Mott. He's outside in the Bush Beer Garden.
Tell him I'm okay.
Tell him I'm okay. That's how I'm going to make it next week. You better get your ass to the show.
Okay, so then, and did you at this point in the ambulance? Did you ask anybody like who else was in the wreck? Did anything happen? You're still not even at that point.
No, because I'm like, no. I asked them, who'd I hit? They didn't know because they just went right to my car. They're like, we don't know. How many people were in it? I think just 2. Okay, so we ride infield care center. I get out, and I was. They do the blood pressure, the carbon monoxide test, the tongue thermometer deal.
They ask you more questions, right?
Not really, because they have a procedure, and then you do this thing on an iPad. It just tests your cognitive abilities, make sure you don't have a concussion. I at this point, I still assumed that everybody was accounted for.
Okay, and then adrenaline-wise, you're still
spiked.
Yeah,
because I'm happy because we finished 10th in Daytona 100. I'm hurting in more ways than one. The car is completely trashed, which sucks because that's a lot of money to fix.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm happy because we finished 8th in Daytona 500.
It's amazing.
I sense the sarcasm.
I'm
flowing.
Saying you've made it and you weren't injured and it's a great finish. I'm sure you're feeling.
Yeah, and I was like, and I kept saying that was a big wreck. That was a big wreck.
And you're probably on a high. You're like, this is a great ending for me.
Yeah.
And you walk out.
We got the TV show. I made sure to look and make sure I finished in front of Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick, the other 2 guys in the show, which I beat. So we won the battle for Daytona on Motor Trend app. Download it. It's a pretty cool show. You haven't watched it yet, Dare, have you?
No. Okay. I don't have the $2.
I'll see if I can swing it for you.
So now you walk out of the care center feeling pretty good about yourself.
Yeah. I'm wanting to blow by the media guys and go see my team guys. That's what I was wanting to do. I was wanting to go slap hands with them guys, bring them guys some beer, and celebrate, regardless of how tore up the car was, because we came down there to finish top 10 in the 500, and we achieved that goal. The guys worked hard. They actually switched over from the primary to the backup car, which is even more of an incentive to celebrate. So I was kind of being flippant with the media. I'm like, yeah, it was great. Guys did a good job. I got a plane to catch. I want to go say hey to my guys. And then Bob Pockris was like, hey, they took Newman straight to the hospital. I was like, what? Because I didn't even know who I hit still until he said Newman went straight to the hospital. I'm like, oh, shit. And my heart sunk, especially because I hadn't seen the replay to this point in time, and Bob turned his phone off, showed me the video, and then I got sick to my stomach because that left side roof bar is the most vulnerable spot to get hit in the car. And due to a lot of advances made in the chassis with, coincidentally, a bar that was added because of Ryan Newman's crash at Talladega when he flipped over and his whole cage on the left front corner got pushed in when he was driving the 39.
Ryan Newman bar.
Yeah, the visor bar is the technical word for it. It is a second bar, essentially where your visor would be in your street car, is about where it would be. If it wasn't for that bar in my car, and if it probably wasn't for that bar in Ryan Newman's car, then we both would have been in real bad shape. So thankful for Ryan for flipping an earlier time and having guys at R&D Center figure that out to update the cars and make them more safe. So then after that, I didn't really take any more questions. I was sick to my stomach. I felt like I wanted to throw up.
Have you seen the video where you say, where'd I hit him, Bob?
Yeah.
Because that was all over Twitter. Everyone was saying, like, here's the moment that Corey found out.
Yeah.
So you've watched that back.
So he turned. I don't know if I seen the video when I asked him where I hit him, or it just happened right after that. Like, because you still can't even really tell from the window.
Yeah.
Or from the video where you hit him.
I think that might have been right before he showed you the video. Yeah. You're like, where'd I hit him, Bob? And then it goes off, so he must have shown you the video.
And I wanted to throw up. I think I might have Steve Post come on and jammed the mic in my face, and I didn't really talk to him. And then I walked back to the bus, changed, sat there for a minute, grabbed some water, and I jumped back on my bicycle, and I rode back into the garage to see what my guys were talking about. And it was pretty somber because they knew a lot of the stuff before I got there. They had a little bit more of the story. So we talked, a couple people said it was probably worse than what people expect. They had the tarps, and they're probably still in the process of getting them out at that point in time. And I seen his car go by in the flatbed, and I almost puked because that was the most mangled car I've seen probably since either Kyle Larson's Xfinity race at Daytona or that Cup race that Austin Dillon hit the fence. So there was 36 hours there of questions, concerns, and anxiety. Probably the most stressed I've ever been, just caring for his well-being. And every news update or every health update we kept getting on Ryan was more and more optimistic. And then right before our show, there was a video of him walking out with no shoes on into the parking lot of Halifax Medical, which is a miracle to me.
Incredible.
So that just goes to show, man, prayers do work. I think that I wish everybody prayed as much as they do when something bad happens all the time, because the world would be a hell of a lot better place.
Did you have people reaching out to you? Were there other drivers? Because there was
I think I had 300 text messages by the time I got back to the bus and grabbed my phone.
So the Twitter story was that, everyone's worried about Ryan, but also let's pray for Corey and Blaney. For some reason, everybody felt that you guys were going to be feeling really responsible for a racing deal that you don't have.
And I'll be honest, I didn't feel any guilt from the situation because I know that when you strap in, that there is a small percentage of there's a percentage of a chance that might be the last time you strap in, and you assume that risk when you jump in a race car. That's why we get paid good money, because we put our life on the line for entertainment. It's part of the deal. I think that Ryan Blaney is probably shouldering a little bit more of the guilt, since he had probably more of a direct hand to start the wreck, more so than I did. But still, there should be no blame put on Ryan whatsoever. Ryan Blaney or Ryan Newman. Both of those guys are 100 yards, 200 yards away from winning the biggest race of the year, locking themselves and their teams in the playoffs, and winning a hell of a lot of money. So Ryan Newman was doing exactly what he needed to do. He needed to block, and Ryan Blaney was trying to get around him because he had a big run. And just like it happens every single other Daytona race, somebody gets turned coming to the checkered flag, and this time his car turned a certain way, and my car was there to punt his ass like Pat McAfee on a long. He did launch that thing.
You saw the mangled car. You talked to your crew guys. When do you finally see Kelly?
I saw her the first time I went back to the bus. She was holding it together at that point because nobody really knew what happened yet. And we do the whole deal, post-race stuff on the TV cameras for that little show. And then we kind of wrapped that up, and we went back to the bus. Then we went to the airport, flew home. And when we got home, she drove back because I was trying to answer all these tweets and texts and make sure everybody knew that I was okay. And I wasn't really hurting or sore at this point in time because the adrenaline's still going. But the next morning I woke up sore AF. But then she lost it just because she couldn't help but, put the shoe on the other foot if something would have happened to me. But you can say what if till the cows come home. But Lord willing, Ryan's okay and your boy's okay.
And then the picture